Welcome in this edition of Blue Sky Live. Here with you this morning, Parham and Neal McCready. Neal's in the Clark Ford studio. I'm not, but we are back to talk Ole Miss and LSU Saturday night from Death Valley. We'll discuss some press conference activity. Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin yesterday with their weekly pressers. You got a preliminary approval on the House settlement that we hate talking about, but is potentially impacting college football, so we'll discuss that and plenty more here with you today on a show brought to you every day by the Blue Sky locations all over Mississippi. That includes Oxford with the Oxford Exxon, and then Blue Skies up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well, helping you on your travel. Fill up with gas, clean convenience stores, plenty of options, and plenty more, including the Sweet Daddy's locations all over the state of Mississippi. Ribs, pulled pork, side items, desserts, and whatever your heart desires in that convenience store category. And again, Neal coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
I am Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest will join this week on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. So visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
I was laughing this morning, Neal, running through some stuff for the show, and you've traveled a good bit with work and different games and whatnot here, Winston-Salem, Columbia, been on some flights. I'm assuming you've run across people you wouldn't want to sit down and have dinner with, people that might complain about different things over the course of your travel and on these planes. So in the Morning Brew newsletter this morning, so if you saw this, then you did, says getting stuck in the middle seat on a long plane ride is never ideal, but it was even more uncomfortable than usual on a recent Qantas flight from Sydney to Tokyo due to an issue with the in-flight entertainment system. Every passenger was forced to watch the same movie on their screens with no ability to turn it off, and for some reason the movie chosen was the 2023 Dakota Johnson-Sean Penn drama Daddy-O, a sexually explicit film with graphic nudity and racy texting. After an uproar from some passengers, probably the parents, the crew eventually switched the movie to a more family-friendly flick. Qantas apologized, acknowledging the movie was clearly not suitable to play for the whole flight. So they were going to be stuck watching, I have not seen it, but I'm assuming some 2024 version of 9.5 Weeks from Sydney to Tokyo over and over and over for kids, parents, whole deals.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I wouldn't want to be in the pressurized tube, but I would be curious to hear the reactions for some inside the pressurized tube. Is that happening?
Yeah, because you get on an airplane and you get a little bit of everybody on a flight, and I'm pretty good about just kind of keeping to myself. I like getting an aisle seat where I'm not trapped. I can get up and walk if I want to. I'll avoid a middle seat, period. I mean, I'd have to be desperate to get somewhere to get on a plane in the middle seat. But I mean, we could have a real conversation for a long time about airplane travel, plane etiquette, just people in general. People are crazy, and you walk around an airport and then get on an airplane and you see it. Like there's a lot there. The massively overweight people, the people that like bring full meals onto the plane to eat at the seat.
The ones that really smell too. I mean, you've got like all sorts of concoctions and different options as you're doing that. I'm a
Yeah,
window
and
seat guy. I'd rather. I don't like the aisle because I worry about people like bumping me or me having to get up. I want to go to the window where I'm just left alone the entire flight and I don't have to move.
you roll the dice on that though, because you get that 350-pound dude in the middle seat. You don't have a you're not on a window seat anymore. You're up against a window.
You're pressed. You're doing the press a little bit.
You're not guaranteed anything because the wall of the plane's not going anywhere. And if you get that guy, and you can't say anything. People lose their minds if you say anything because you might hurt somebody's feelings, even though you paid for the seat. There's a lot there.
So I'm reading here, and this is going to be really bad pod because I did not see this tweet right before we started, but I was asking if I saw this Ross Dellinger tweet. And I'll try to give cliff notes, as some of our show today is geared toward the future of college football with the House settlement and whatnot's going on. So his lead, again, this is Ross, Yahoo Sports this morning, and I'll try my best to comb through this as easily as possible. It's kind of difficult. Over the summer, as college administrators scrambled to unearth new cash for the onset of athletic revenue sharing, a bespectacled man visited with leaders at some of the most high-profile athletic departments in the country. He presented to them his solution for the unwieldy entity of college football. It's called Project Rudy. Quote, his claim is that everybody will be saved, said one Power Conference athletics director. So it's apparently spearheaded by former Disney executives turned investment professionals, and when the Big Ten and the SEC are meeting in Nashville this week, I think it's on Thursday, middle of the week, whenever it is, this is actually the undercurrent that is causing a lot of the meeting, is that there is a lot of people that believe whatever this plan is has some SEC Big Ten support and is the one because of the people running it having a knowledge of Disney and TV and how you would have to make these things intersperse among one another. That instead of that Super League idea last week that had no sense and Sankey shot down sarcastically and tangibly, this one at least has their attention and is what is being talked about. So there is that as we go into this week where, if nothing else, the people running it, I think Evan Richter is the guy's name that is heading it up, they think he at least has everybody's understanding of what would be necessary to move forward in this way.
This is what Tyler has been referencing for months. I don't understand it. Tyler makes it sound like this is much further down the road than what is being reported here. I'm not saying Tyler's right or wrong. I don't know. I don't know whether Ross is obviously very connected. I talked to Ross in Winston-Salem. Ross is sick of this. He's sick of writing about it. He's sick of talking about it. He's sick of going to congressional hearings. It's obviously when he talks to conference people, this is all they talk about. I think he goes to football games and talks about nothing but this with ADs and conference officials and stuff. Someone's going to have to explain it to me like I'm 5, why the SEC and the Big Ten feel like they got to protect everybody else. I don't get it.
So Project Rudy is built on two somewhat simple concepts to increase revenue from television networks. Again, increase revenue. So the thought is it actually could lead to more money. And corporate sponsors. Number one, arrange more games between power conference programs by eliminating all games against Group of 5 and FCS opponents. Expanding the playoffs and pitting blue blood powers more often against one another. And then number two, sorry, I lost my spot on the page, so I'll get there real quick. That one makes sense. You don't mind that one. You've been for that one the entire time. So if you can pull that off, that one.
I totally get that. I understand that.
Then consolidate the media rights of the 70 schools under one agreement instead of the current structure of 5 different packages, one for each Power League and Notre Dame. The plan's other concepts, tiered distribution with relegation, for instance, hinge on the cash boon from those two ideas. According to the presentation, the proposed changes will result in an increase in media and sponsorship revenue of about $15 billion over a 12-year period. The growth is derived from holding 1.5 times more marquee games, playoffs, top bowls, and 3 times more quality games, rivalry and blue blood matchups, while eliminating games against non-power opponents, which is currently 18% of FBS scheduling. My problem is, does anyone actually have that amount of money? Does that make sense?
It does. I can't answer that. Here's what I can tell you is that TV people tell you they take a bath on these bad games.
Sure.
That they just take a bath on them and that they don't understand why they do them. And I don't either. I mean, I don't know why there's this feeling that, well, gosh, golly gee, if we don't take care of these small schools, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, it's like college athletic. And again, I don't know, like, is this just football? What happens with basketball? What happens with any other sports? Do you have to have one governing body over one sport? And so those players become even more professional? What do you do about a labor agreement? What do you do about Title IX? Nobody can answer these things. And so it's just, and I can hear 50 to 80% of our audience right now going, Ole Miss plays LSU on Saturday night. You guys are talking about this. I get it. But I promise you, in the press box at Tiger Stadium on Saturday, 2-3 hours before that game, people are walking around. When I say people, I mean LSU officials, Ole Miss officials, SEC officials, TV people, and this is what they're talking about. They're talking about what happened at the meetings in Nashville Wednesday and Thursday.
The last little part of this, it says, according to the proposal, school-by-school distributions would skyrocket, cash that presumably would be used to help sustain Olympic sports, something that administrators contend is threatened by the event, blah, 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 blah. The revenues will be allotted unequally. Project Rudy separates the 70 programs into 3 tiers. Tier 1, the top 16 schools earn per-school revenue projections from $130 million in year 4, escalating to $250 million in year 12, double the SEC and Big Ten's current distribution rate. Tier 2, the next 22 schools earn revenue of $60 to $110 million, similar to the SEC and Big Ten current rates, which would get pretty much everybody in a Power 4 currently. And then Tier 3, the last 32 schools earn projections of 30 to 60, which is currently similar to the Big 12 and ACC. There's a variety of ways to determine how to tier those schools, previous season's results, aggregate of results over seasons, blah, 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 blah.
So you're getting into a relegation model that could impact financially. Why would any SEC school sign up for that? If you're Mississippi,
if you decided to do it, you would sign up for it because the ones that felt comfortable that they could stay in that top 38 would not lose money and run the risk or would run the possibility of at least doubling their money. That would be if you want the argument, that would be the argument.
But everybody can't win.
No, 38 schools. And if you fell into that Tier 3, it would be a massive loss because you would go from what you're currently getting in the SEC or Big Ten to Big 12 ACC money.
It sounds like they're still talking so conceptually that it's hard for me to even take it all that seriously.
I guess my question to that is, do you even think that's consisting of any percentage of this meeting this week?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to come up. I mean,
noticeable percentage.
I mean, if you're the SEC and the Big Ten, again, someone's got to answer correct. Someone's got to tell me this and fix it in my mind for me. Why not just go, hey, we've got this. It's right here. Let's just do it. And don't give me tradition because I don't give a shit. No offense. And very clearly, most people don't. That's not it. Don't go, well, it's always been this way. That's a bad reason. Why would the SEC and the Big Ten not go, we've got the inventory right here. We've got 34 schools. We could add a few more. What's the magic number? 38? All right, add 4 more. Got it. Done. We'll all play each other. You'll have your conference. We'll have this conference. Hey, Notre Dame, suck it up and pick one. Add 2 or 3 from the ACC and call it a day. I don't know why they don't do that. I really don't. I mean, someone would have to explain it to me other than, well, that's not really fair. Because I don't really care what's fair to Wake Forest and Boston College. I really don't. But it doesn't matter of caring. What difference does it make whether it's fair or not? We're only talking about one sport, right?
Yeah, we're only talking about football. That's it.
Okay, so what are we doing? Why would you want to do something that, well, let's make sure we take care of Texas Tech? Why?
Well, and not that when you even add that, and look, maybe it's just Ross talking, maybe it's whatever. I'm sure it's sourced to whatever degree, but it's, hey, we're going to use the money to make sure we save Olympic sports. That's noble. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but I'm just saying that line, even that's not going to be the same at every school, because a lot of these schools need it to even compete with a football, basketball standpoint. No matter what you give them, they still aren't going to go, hey, I'm going to make sure men's tennis survives here.
Well, even if the goal is to save Olympic sports, if the SEC and the Big Ten just broke away and played each other, you'd get more TV money. You could put it to save Olympic sports. I mean, okay. It just feels like everyone's like, well, I just kind of feel bad for these Mountain West schools, and I kind of feel bad for Washington State and Oregon State. And I mean, I don't know
these
why
wouldn't even be in that model anyway, I don't think, because you're only talking about 70.
Yeah, so you're talking about the Power 4 school. Yeah, well, you're talking about the Power 4, maybe the Power 5, and Notre Dame as some big breakaway, and they're all going to – why would SEC schools agree to a completely revamped financial model? Why? It's too much risk. Well, you might make a lot more. Okay, yeah, but I might make a lot less. Why would you agree to that? Especially if you're at a school like Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, where history says you're not going to consistently compete at the highest level. Mm-hmm. You're going to be the one statistically who gets relegated. Why would you agree to that?
Yeah, you're the ones that are going to be signing up for Big 12 ACC money instead of SEC Big 10 money.
Yeah, if I'm in the room in Starkville, I mean, all jokes aside, if I'm in the room in Starkville, no. Why would, no, our vote is no. Mm-hmm. A hard no. If I'm Vanderbilt, no. Why would I give up that status and money? I'd rather finish at the bottom of the Big Ten SEC combo and get my money than no. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It never has. Tyler's talked about this. Nobody can answer the base questions of, all right, well, how do you do player compensation? Mm-hmm. It's still, so you're going to have all these rules for this, but you're going to have a completely unregulated player compensation system?
Well, because if it's not back, and it's segueing into what I'm talking about, if it's not backed by the NCAA in some ways, the House settlement doesn't apply. And you're starting all over because the House settlement is a deal with the NCAA and essentially former players, and then the schools, which are voluntary members of the NCAA, and that's where you get into what happened yesterday with Judge Claudia Wilkin giving a preliminary approval to the House settlement. They restructured the language for booster. They restructured some stuff as far as how collectives are defined and used moving forward, and it's not the end step, but it's a big step. You've got plenty more to go. I still have attorneys tell me that when you get to fairness hearing time, that is going to be a problem because, as Neil and I have discussed, there is zero in this that 100% guarantees there's no future legislation or suits being filed over the next 10 years, which is what the promise is in this. But they did at least get a win yesterday. That was I thought it would even get shut down at this level, so it has moved forward. It is probably moved forward enough that schools are going to have to at least figure out how to fund the first or second year of payment for these things from an SEC Big Ten level. It's around $22 million is what it would look like under this formula. The percentages of that have not been defined. What has been defined is the back pay that the NCAA is paying to former players dating back to 2016. And they're using a percentage model of 75% to football, 15% to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, and 5% to everything else. I think that will be a base percentage that schools are using in that way. Again, they don't have to, but it feels like nationally that's sort of what the base percentages will be for this. And as we've said, that still doesn't talk about Austin payments, which are already happening. That's not talking about some other type of things that could technically be used as part of that settlement, but it's not known that SEC or Big Ten teams are going to do that, that they're going to leave those as separate payments that still exist. So because of that, a school like Ole Miss, you're probably talking about $26, $27 million in total athletic department funding change that would be necessary to facilitate this. Collectives would still exist. You still would have money given to players on top of this through collectives, to the best of my knowledge. But again, long way to go, but big step.
I mean,
if it went through, it would go through in July and happen in August. Go ahead.
I can fix the financial problems for the networks and the TV right now. I can do it right now in Nashville. We could do it in one day, and we could go celebrate it, pick a bar on Broadway or somewhere. Be easy. Instead of playing Georgia State, the Citadel, Tulane, and Washington State, Ole Miss would play 4 Big Ten teams. 2 in Oxford, 2 at Big Ten sites. So would everybody else. Fixed. Done. Let's go have a steak.
You think that would up the television revenue enough to offset it?
Yeah. They'd pay a lot more. I mean, they're not going to televise. I mean, let's just pick apart the Ole Miss schedule. If you're a network, are you fired up for Georgia State at Ole Miss? And don't give me the, well, it's the opening weekend. So, no, nationally, nobody who's not an Ole Miss fan or a Georgia State fan has any interest in that whatsoever. None. Fair?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
All right. The Citadel at Ole Miss in week 2.
Of course not.
Tulane at Ole Miss in week 4. No.
No.
And then Washington State. I mean, okay, sure, maybe a little bit. But would you rather Washington State or would you rather Michigan?
You would rather Michigan.
If I change those 4 games and put Ole Miss, at Penn State, home against Wisconsin, home against Michigan, and at Rutgers, the TV would pay more money. And then you start mixing in the other games where you got Oklahoma goes to Oregon and Alabama goes to, I don't know, wherever. Pick a school. I don't give it. Whatever. Illinois, whatever the case may be. You get games. All of a sudden, you got games you can hype. You got games you can talk about. You got games that are going to be, you've got a much better inventory of games. Yeah, they'll pay more. You take that money, you pay for your Olympic sports, which at some point, the Olympic sports are going to be in jeopardy at all of these schools. They just are. Because here's why. You're shifting from an amateur model to a professional model. So the whole objective of the model has changed. In the old days, 5 years ago, you didn't really care that you took all your football revenue and poured it to cover everything else. That was the understanding. We've changed that. Good or bad, whether you think it's right or wrong, it's changed. So you might be getting to a point where, especially if the players are going to be professional and they're going to have a labor agreement, you might be above Title IX at that point. Right. At which point it doesn't make any sense to have a women's golf program.
The last thought on that as we move into the first part, we'll come back. We'll talk some moments of OSU is, look, seeing it in the stream right now. Part of that, and look, it can happen. You just have to go, hey, it is what it is. It's going to be mindset shifts. Schools don't think 8-4 is okay. They don't think 7-5 is okay. They don't think 9-3 is okay. It's one of the reasons why the 9-game playoff the 9-game SEC schedule has not already happened is that head coaches go, nope, I don't want that extra loss. I want 8. ADs want 9. Coaches want 8. And the ADs are going to win. But that's what the fight's over right now. So anyway, come back in a second. First, obviously been telling you for a bit now, if you've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but if you had them covered in sauce, Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm. Or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only a Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's. A participating U.S. Wendy's.
We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products, people, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by Window Hero, from window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, everything in between. Window Hero has the expertise, equipment, and experience to make your property look and feel brand new. The leaves are starting to fall. You want to make sure your gutters are clean, they're guarded. If your property is slipped a little bit, get in touch with our friends at Window Hero, Roby and Susan Allen and the gang there, and they'll take care of you. 662-510-7077 or windowhero.com. Elevate your game day look with socks that financially support the Rebels. Every step you take shapes the future of Ole Miss athletics. Visit Dead Soxy today. Choose a subscription to receive the latest in Ole Miss styles every month or at an interval that best suits you. With a subscription, you'll receive 25% off member pricing, free shipping, and a free gift with your first order. So take the next step, upgrade your socks. As always, stay Soxy. We'll have a Ole Miss practice report, or just report in general. Today, it's brought to you by Southern Q Sauce Craft Barbecue Sauce. It's crafted by hand in small batches to capture that tangy, sweet, smoky taste with just enough heat. The original recipe features the deep South flavors of apple cider vinegar, sweet brown sugar, tomato, and hickory. They also have a lot of different rubs you should use. It's starting to cool off. It's getting to grilling season, smoking season. Check out some of their rubs: Old Smoky, Honey Pecan, the Clucker, and more. SouthernQSauce.com. Use the discount code RebelGrove for 15% off your order. We're also brought to you by Rustic Revivals, based out of Flowood, Mississippi. Rustic Revivals builds tables and other furniture by hand with locally sourced lumber. The husband and wife team of Josh and Ashley Pierce specialize in custom-ordered tables, beds, dressers, coffee tables, bookshelves, decorative cabinets, and chairs. They deliver within 250 miles of Flowood. All of their pieces are sealed for protection. Podcast listeners get 10% off their purchase by using the code REBELS10. That's REBELS10. You can also check them out on Facebook at Rustic Revivals MS, Rustic Revivals on Instagram, or you can order directly at 228-217-1243. If you're retiring soon, you're probably wondering how long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Sego Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting. See what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com.
So, Kirby Smart, we'll get into Ole Miss and OSU in a second. Kirby Smart jumping into the getting on fans for attendance and noise over the course of Saturday and Monday. Georgia wins tons of games. They beat Auburn 31-13 in a game that was not overly close, but hey, it was a cover for Hugh Freeze and the Tigers. I was proud of that. And then with his conversation with DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, he says, "We're trying to have a home field advantage like we've had when we've played against teams, and I can't get crowd noise. That's frustrating for me. I know I got to do a better job as a coach, but we need these fans to support us, and the players need them behind them." At his Monday news conference, he was asked to elaborate and said, "I said what I said, and I stand on what I said. I feel like it could have been better. We've had coaches who have come here who have told us it was the best environment they've played in the entire year, and I didn't think that was Saturday, and I don't think I'm the only one who feels that way. It was a sellout, blah, 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 blah." I'm not harping on it. I just thought it was interesting given Lane's comments that now he has done this too. So.
Coaches need to shut up about the fans.
They do.
Coming games, leaving games. Fans, listen, the fans are paying the money. You can do what you want. You want to buy a ticket? You want to sit? Sit. You want to stand? Stand. You want to leave in the second quarter? Leave in the second quarter. You want to go to a bar? Go to a bar. You want to make the product so good that they won't leave? Well, then make the product so good that they don't leave. I mean, I'm sorry, but shut up. They're wrong. And I'm not, it's wild that I'm kind of the guy defending fans, but I've kind of caught myself as the guy defending fans. Kirby Smart makes 8 figures. You don't get to tell people what to do on a hot day in Athens when the game that they came to watch lasts 4 hours because the TV timeout's 3 minutes long constantly. The stadiums are antiquated. They're standing in line for 30 minutes to get a Coke or a water. And they decide in the third quarter that, you know what? Let's beat the traffic home. You don't get to bitch about that. Or you can if you want, but it falls on deaf ears.
I mean, BWL's right. The game is so choppy because of the timeouts. It's just play, timeout. And it's actually, it's not even choppy because choppy indicates it moves quickly in all directions. It's very slow with the timeout portion of this. So,
yeah, I make people
I
mad.
mean, I know we're harping, but yeah.
I make people mad when I do this. The TV timeout thing is maddening.
It's why I was pissed off so offseason. They went, oh my God, they went shorter last year. It was like, no, they didn't. They cut plays. They left the TV timeouts, which meant the percentage of your day that was football is actually lower. Not higher, lower. Cut plays and added TV timeouts. Okay, awesome. That fixed it. So here we are.
The first half on Saturday in Columbia lasted almost 2 hours.
It did.
The first half.
It did.
That is programmed. That is, hey, let's get all these TV timeouts in just in case this is a blowout. And so the first half lasts forever. Halftime rolls around. I don't blame people for going, it's hot. I've been here for and then the coach is like, hey, get an hour early. We need you there for pregame. So it's halftime and you've been in the stands for 3 hours. I don't blame people for leaving and going to the restaurant, going to the bar, loading the kids up and stopping at Sonic on the way out of town and heading home. I don't blame them a bit.
I would be for that. Lower halftimes to NFL levels. Shorten halftime to the NFL
Of course.
level. That's
Of
an
course.
easy fix. It would help a little bit.
But if you're going to be pro sports, be pro sports. Follow the NFL.
Some of the problem with doing that is because the concessions at most schools are as they are, as you said. You have no ability to even try to get to the bathroom or get back because of anyway. All right, but that's where it is.
I mean, I don't go to games as fans. I don't know what it's like. But if you're asking me to be there an hour early, and so I get there, and then the first half takes 2 hours, it better be damned entertaining, Chase. Mm-hmm. It better be like, this is must-see TV. It better be Alabama, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Kentucky. I'm thinking of games that I've watched that have been really entertaining, where you're like on the edge of your seat. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? The Tennessee-Arkansas game the other night. It better be really entertaining or else I'm out. I'm going to beat the crowd. I don't want to. I've been in the stadium for 4.5 hours, and now I got to wait 30 minutes to get out, and then another 2 hours. I mean, there will be people at Tiger Stadium on Saturday that get there at 5 o'clock, 5:15 in the stadium, that they'll be in their cars bumper to bumper at midnight.
Speaking of Tiger Stadium, did you watch any of Brian Kelly's press conference?
A little bit. I mean, I watched some of it. I thought he's pretty good at press conference settings. I mean,
I was about to say, it's what struck me with him is he kind of is meme heavy in post game because he's pretty emotional and all that. And he kind of like just speaks and says whatever. But I watch a lot of press conferences because obviously Ole Miss plays other coaches in the league, and then every time Lane or any Ole Miss coach is doing a press conference, Kelly tried harder than maybe any coach I have seen to answer even bad questions with really good answers. You could see body language when he went, I don't really agree with that, and then he like took a second, took a beat, and then more often than not gave something that was pretty structured and made sense, and you kind of went, okay, I get something out of that. That helps. In a way. And I thought it was not what I was expecting from him because he's so impatient in post-game press conferences when he's frustrated and they're coming off losses and all these things. And yet he was supremely patient in that environment yesterday. It was 28 minutes of some good, some bad, whatever. But he was very thorough. I thought he gave really, really good responses. Talked a lot about Ole Miss and players that may not play on Saturday. We don't know about Trey Harris's status. Obviously, Princely is out. I keep wanting to give caveats because they don't release official things that we can believe, but I expect him to be out. Jaden Williams is probably still out. So he mentioned all those kind of guys, but talking about his own team, and there was lots of questions about, and he admitted that it was because their defense was so bad last year. You know, last year they got into these shootouts because it was the only way they could win. And now, like, the continuity of maybe they're a little better defensively. They're at least better at ball control offensively. They've got Nussmeier, and they're trying to grind it a little bit. And what the right mix is. And I find that maybe one of the more compelling schematic things about Saturday's game, because Kentucky won and beat Ole Miss with this one narrative. They had one way they could win a game, and they followed that path and got it done. And multiple people asked him yesterday during this press conference, is that the way that you're going to go about the game on Saturday as well? And look, LSU defensively is not as good as Kentucky in multiple ways. Their secondary is not close. Their defensive line is not close. But he was discussing that they do have to have some semblance of balance from an offense-defense standpoint to not get in this crazy shootout where you're trying to win like last year because you don't have Jaden Daniels over there on your sideline. But then at the same time, you couldn't get so bogged down in just playing defense and ball control that you forget to score. And what it felt like to me, and I think it's what's affected LSU, is they played a really good game against SC and just lost. I thought they were fine that night. And then they played a South Carolina team that we watched last weekend, and I get every week's week to week, but Nussmeier kind of bailed them out. They didn't play well defensively. They give up 33 points to that Carolina team. It feels like Kelly's team is still searching for some sort of identity when it comes to even the style of play they're trying to play to win games. Does that factor in your mind at all? They don't really know where they sit because their offense is kind of good this, and then the defense, they really want to be better, but they're still giving up a crap ton of yards in the passing game, and they can't seem to just get it melded into one spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, a year ago they were so extreme. They were elite offensively, and they were just trash defensively. And that doesn't work. It almost worked last year in terms of when they, the Ole Miss game was a toss-up. They lost it. Trying to think, though, they won some other toss-up games. You get into shootouts that they won a shootout with trying to remember their schedule last year. They had multiple shootout games. And then you had the game. They had the game at Alabama where Daniels got hurt, and they couldn't keep up with them. That doesn't work. So I understand what he's saying. You're trying to get a more balanced, sane game day approach. I don't know that you can do that in 1 year, even in this world of college football. I do think they're better defensively. Statistically, they're better defensively. They're not good, but they're better. And then, offensively they're different because, you don't have Jaden Daniels, who was this threat with his feet, but you do have a really good quarterback. You don't have the receiving core that you had a year ago, but you still have a good one. I like the freshman running back who's kind of emerged for them a little bit. Ole Miss would love to have him right now. Or I think they would. We can talk about that in a minute, too, if you want. I've got like 5 mailbag questions on that subject, and it was like one of the ones is like, what's your opinion? And I'm like, you know what? I might be the only person in Mississippi that doesn't have one. I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't, and that's not. I've thought about it. I just don't really know what I necessarily think. I don't know how I could think something. I'm not around it. I don't know. I can't know what I don't see, and so I'm not at practice. But anyway, Saturday's interesting. I said this to you yesterday. I mean, you could throw a lot of different outcomes at me as like, okay, this is the outcome. Surprised? And I don't know that you could surprise me. Maybe a blowout one way or the other would surprise me. But like a comfortable win for either team wouldn't surprise me. A close game wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect with Ole Miss. Like, I mean, I have questions. Is Trey Harris going to play? And if he plays, is he going to be effective? Is he going to be 100%? What does the offense look like if Trey Harris isn't on the field? Because Trey Harris has caught 52 passes. Mm-hmm. Do you distribute the football a lot differently, or does Juice Wells step up and become Trey Harris for a night?
And it's a different team, but we saw Ole Miss bogged down without him last year. I get Juice wasn't out there, but still.
Yeah, well, they bogged down Saturday.
That. Yeah. He mentioned that. I mean, it was one of the things that I did pull out.
They were protecting a lead, and so it was different. It wasn't 0-0. They had the game in hand, and there was no reason to go, hey, let's just open this thing wide open. But they did try to score in the third quarter and really didn't.
Yeah, it was the two. Well, I pulled out two quotes to mention on today's show, and one of them was talking about Trey Harris's status, and I think you said in what he said, what he meant, that you can probably overread into his answer because he's not going to give you the truth, so he's just setting up if that is the situation. He's trying to kind of be a fine line a little bit there. But he says we don't really get into much detail on that. He couldn't finish the first half, wasn't close to going back in the second half. He certainly wouldn't be playing today. We have to get other guys ready. We have to perform better than we did in the second half without him. We only had 3 points. Now we only threw one pass in the fourth quarter. That makes us move people in different spots when he's out, so we're preparing to do that and preparing to play without him. Okay.
Yeah, you can parse that answer 1,000 ways. I chose to parse it as if they played yesterday, which they didn't, he wouldn't have played. Now, we're preparing to play without him is a little stronger than what Kiffin usually says.
It is. I at least took something from that.
I suspect on Wednesday, is it Wednesday when the first injury report comes out?
Wednesday at 7 p.m.
I suspect he'll be questionable. When's the next one? Friday? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon for them.
I suspect he'll remain questionable, and on Saturday, I suspect you'll see game time decision, which is, again, well, you talk about getting into some of the stuff about your professional sports. You're making a lot of your money off gambling, or you're potentially making a lot of your money off gambling. I think the injury stuff is going to have to get more specific. It needs to be. Because if you're betting on the Ole Miss,
mostly, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's not. It's just the truth. It's not criticism or otherwise. It is at most places, not including Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the only one that is putting half the damn roster on there.
Yeah, Lane's protesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and no one's there going to say, "Hey, this is a bad look. You should stop." But if I'm betting on this game, if I'm really betting, if I'm a professional bettor, I can't bet this game without knowing Trey Harris's status.
No, Trey Harris swings this thing for a lot of people either way.
Because if you tell me Trey Harris does not play, I'm thinking about the under. If you tell me Trey Harris does not play, I'm probably putting more of my juice on LSU. Mm-hmm. Because Ole Miss's offense has not been an elite offense against Kentucky and South Carolina. It's been solid, but it hasn't been elite. And so if Harris is not available, there's too many questions about, all right, well, how do you make up all of that offense? This is a guy that leads the SEC in catches, in yards per game, in yards. I mean, he leads the SEC in receiving in virtually every category. And the next closest guy for Ole Miss has 19 catches. It's Caden Lee.
Yeah.
Caden Lee and Juice Wells combined don't have the number of catches that Trey Harris has.
Yeah.
Or yards.
You're halfway through the season.
So I'd have to know, is he out? Now, I suspect that Princely's out, like you do, but the way Perkins has played, they've made up for that. And they're playing enough young defensive linemen that they can overcome the loss of Princely. Against LSU, I don't know that not having Jaden Williams is a great big deal. But
they don't have Dylan Stewart.
Yeah, there's no Dylan Stewart over there, and Dylan Stewart's a beast. But there's a lot of Micah Pettis criticism the other day, and I mean, I'm on it. I get it. I understand. But there was also a lot of plays where he more than held his own against Stewart. Mm-hmm. Stewart's a badass.
Lane even picked him out on Monday, saying he'll be a top 10 pick in 3 days or whatever, 3 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then the other one, same topic, different day, the running back situation. His quote, I think they were beat up coming into the game, both of them, both, two, not three, two. And we protected well, so we're going to continue to look at people and continue to look at that and figure out best ways to win. Lane Kiffin, Monday, October 7th, sometime around 12:15 p.m.
First of all, Tyler Comas said it was a really good question. It was the way that he phrased the question. It almost forced some degree of an answer. It was very good. I don't know what to read into that. I mean, everybody's not everybody. That's hyperbolic. A lot of people are doing this thing where there must be some scandal. There must be some controversy. And my response to that is why? Through 6 games? Somebody, whether it's Lane Kiffin or Kevin Smith or Charlie Weiss or some combination thereof, believed that Henry Parrish is their best option at running back.
Well, I don't think I don't even think that, though, is the question. The question is a guy who had the ability. Because, look, maybe the answer is injuries have cost. He's a step slower. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm not suggesting anything. But a guy who got a large percentage of touches last year now gets 0 touches is just weird. Like, that's how I'm defending the fans in that way, that it's weird.
Yeah. No,
you had a guy who was one of the top returning producers in the SEC, and he literally just doesn't play. And the answer is, I don't know, just not good enough. Well, okay, but so he got worse?
But he played last year as a change of pace.
Okay, so change of pace then.
They don't, but the guy that he changed pace off of is at Ohio State. The bottom line is they really miss Quinshon Judkins. That is the bottom line. And if this season doesn't go well because they can't establish a running attack, and through 2 SEC games they really have not established a running attack. They've been okay. It hasn't been a train wreck, but it hasn't been great. If that ends up getting them in a couple of SEC games down the road, the decision to let Quinshon walk will be one that's worth second guessing.
He's mentioned pass blocking a lot. Ole Miss used a running back to pass block 14 times out of 35 passing plays on Saturday. So 21 times they put the running back in a route, and 14 times they left him in to protect. Just FYI there.
I don't remember Bentley whether or not he was a good pass catcher out of the backfield. I don't remember. My mind just doesn't work like that. I don't remember him. I don't remember him being awful in pass pro. I do remember him being a liability in pass pro.
He was worse than Judkins by a decent amount. Yes, 100%. That is correct. Last year, Ulysses Bentley had 12 targets, 11 catches for 87 yards over the course of the season.
So a catch a game.
The only game he had more than 1 target was Alabama, and he caught three passes on 4 targets for 41 yards.
Okay.
That is correct. His snap counts last season, 22, 10, 17, 19, 21, 24, 27, 19, 15, 14, 15, 16, 11.
Yeah.
230 snaps.
Played in 12 games?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, played in every game.
Yeah, I don't know. Back.
He had 95 carries for 540 yards, averaging 5.7 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns. Fumbled 1 time.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether he is the same physically. I don't know. He looks the same standing on the sideline. He got on a bike. He looked like he would be better on Peloton than me. I watched him some. I mean, he's there, but I don't think he got a single snap offensively, correct? Is that right?
That is correct. He has not had a single snap offensively. Or he did not last week, yes. He has not played in either SEC game. He did not play against Wake Forest. His snap counts to this season are 1 second. He played 21 snaps against Furman, 12 snaps against Middle Tennessee, 3 snaps against Wake, and 4 snaps against Georgia Southern. And Middle Tennessee, I'm pretty sure, was the game where Parrish got dinged and he had to come in for a series because Parrish was hurt.
Yeah. They both got banged up late in the game Saturday. I want to say Judkins. It's not Judkins. Parrish and Jones.
Matt Jones, yes.
And I don't know what their status is, and Lane's not going to tell us, and I suspect that they will be on a questionable list tomorrow. And Thursday and Friday, and probably on game time decision on Saturday. Jeremy James was a game time decision, went through warm-ups,
and then
didn't play.
Same thing with Caleb Warren the week before, except he was actually off the report. He was healthy the week before, on report again.
And then Caleb only came in and played when McIntyre went down the other day, and then McIntyre came back in.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what is happening with their part of what they do, and it's one of the reasons, and I'm going to give you credit here. You said this all summer, and people didn't listen to you. And people are like, man, I tell you, one of the things Ole Miss really has is a lot of depth. And you were like, does it matter? They don't play a lot of people. So depth only matters if you have a rash of injuries. But in terms of, we're going to go out there and have all these fresh bodies and wear people, that's not how they play. I mean, they're not playing a bunch of guys on defense. I know they're bringing in the kids for a snap here and there, but we're not talking about fresh sets of they're not rotating defensive lines sort of the way that Tennessee almost is.
No, not at all. I mean, no, it's not. I mean, because you kind of set that. I sort of set that number as at least double-digit snaps per game. And there's a lot of guys with like 2, 3, 4 snaps that just came in for a second or a blow and then went on from there. So, a couple things. Go ahead.
People, by the way, are asking the Logan Diggs thing. I mean, there's zero sign that he's about to play anytime soon. I mean, maybe he does, but he had an ACL tear this calendar year.
Yeah. A couple things in the stream, hit those after the break. But first, tell you about Citizens Bank. You're not just an account number, you're a valued member of the community. And now if you find yourself in the market for a mortgage, there's another reason to give them a try. Whit Wilson, who many of you know in the mortgage space, is now at the Citizens Bank and ready to help you with your real estate goals. Stop by and visit 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E in Oxford. And while you're there, be sure to ask about the School Spirit debit cards and how they donated an amount per every transaction to local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. That's the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com.
Brought to you by Grenada Home Center, paints by Benjamin Moore, Pittsburgh Paints, Farrell Calhoun, flooring of any and all types, stone countertops, granite, quartz, whatever you're looking for, window treatments, plantation shutters, they've got it at Grenada Home Center. They'll come and install. They take great care of you. Give them a call, 662-226-3127. Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a fourth-generation jeweler located at the old Lamons Jewelry Building, North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They offer expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, stackable diamonds, genuine color stones, pretty much everything you're looking for. They've got it. Flexible bangles, diamond pendants, earrings. If your wife is expecting a baby, they can help you with the perfect push present. They can also help you as you start getting ready to do your Christmas shopping at Arnett's. They want to be your jeweler. The College Corner is the place to go if you're getting ready for the football season, the basketball season, whatever the case may be. Stop by in Oxford at the Oxford Commons, 2 locations in Jackson. They've also got online collegecornerstore.com. Don't forget, when you go into one of the stores, leave a tip. And that tip's going to get you registered for the autographed Grove Collective football signed by Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins and Juice Wells. So you'll sign up for that. Your tip money is going to go straight to the Grove Collective. So, again, collegecornerstore.com. We're brought to you by Argent. Call Argent Welts 401k Advisory Services team today. They'll conduct a complimentary, no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Argent Wealth on Blue Sky Live. You get 10% off your first year's fees. We're also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John if you're trying to make a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. Just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you just might not find on your own. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. So schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself at corinthdental.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Johnson Hill Creamery. That's johnsonhillcreamery.com. They're located now in Chicory Market. So stop in, see what they have available for you. They make their cheeses locally and in-house every single day. Pepper jelly is awesome, feta dip, and then those tailgate packages. When Ole Miss returns back to Vaught Hemingway in the Grove, you can order right there online at johnsonhillcreamery.com, and you can pick up on Friday or Saturday. So stop in, check it out, peruse their website, johnsonhillcreamery.com. Yeah, I mean, Logan Diggs is not dead weight. He was only expected in a best-case scenario to be back sometime this month. And look, is he close? I have no idea. Again, as Neal said, no real sign of that on Saturdays. And I was pulling it up just to see. Ole Miss's final injury report on Saturday had out, meaning they were not going to play in any capacity for sure. Princely, Beavers, Price, Demery, Diggs, Williams, Tamani, who's actually played a few snaps on kind of a tight end offensive line role, Cam East, Josh Pfeiffer, Hudson Wolf, and then game time decisions were Louis Moore, Henry Parrish, Pegues, and James. So 2 of the 4 played because Louis Moore didn't play either.
No, he didn't play.
Yeah. He's been banged up since hurting the knee against Georgia Southern, I believe, if I have that right.
Whether he went through warm-ups or not.
Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned in the stream, Messine has had a really good year punting. He's been good.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about it, but he's been good.
He's been really good. I would think he's on NFL radars at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's punting really, really well.
If you're going to put some stars out next to the way Ole Miss does recruiting, I would assume that Jaheim Otis would be a potential candidate when this season ends. The Alabama defensive lineman has decided he's going to redshirt, not play, and move forward at another school after this year, citing playing time, as I think he played, 20-something or 30-something snaps combined against Georgia and Wisconsin those 2 weeks. So there's your update on Jaheim Otis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When he first got to Alabama,
Neal will have a story out later today breaking down how he would fit into Ole Miss's roster and where they would line him up inside against alongside the 3 imaginary players that we don't know who are going to exist on the defensive front with him next year yet. So just rebelgrove.com around 4 p.m. today for that.
There will be someone who writes that story.
Cam Franklin, Jamarius Browns, Jaheim Otis, how the defensive front shapes up for Rebels in 2025.
Yeah, because in addition to the 2 to 3 other people that I can't possibly name today, I mean, wouldn't even know where to start.
How'd Feinbaum handle the Vandy, Alabama situation yesterday?
I did not go there. I was working. I did McCready and Siskey, which went an hour and a half, and then I had to get it loaded. I had an interview with a national reporter who was wanting to talk to me about something, and so I talked to him for about 30 minutes, and then I worked on what he said, what he meant, and I went out and went for a run, and by the time I came back and finished what he said, what he meant, it was after 7 o'clock, and I never followed Feinbaum. I don't know. I would assume that Paul let his callers take the gloves off and take shots, and that Paul himself stayed above it, which would be smart.
CJ, go to gentileapparel.com/MPW for Gentile gear. They are retooling that right now for fall with a lot of long sleeve and weather related options for this time of weather. It's just talking to people and watching the internet, it's almost like Saban's going to get even better as time goes on, especially as DeBoer does whatever he's doing, because you had the thing yesterday and you went, hey, if Nick had been the coach, that would have never happened, no matter what. And it's like, number one, maybe true, but number two, it's like Now he can't lose any more games, so he's only piling up wins when somebody else loses now. I mean, this legacy is so high, and yet it's only going up. Just going up. That's where we're at here.
You know, here's the thing. And DeBoer knew this, and he's making a lot of money, and I'm sure he's still very confident that this was the right move for his career. But there's a reason that Dan Lanning and Mike Norvell and others were like, nah, I'm good. You're replacing Saban, but Saban's not going away. Like, Saban's in Tuscaloosa all the time. Mm-hmm. At 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., I guess, depending on where you live, there he is on the screen with the other guys. I can't think of the whole cast right now. McAfee and
Kurt and Desmond and the gang.
Reese Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there he is talking, including about your game.
Yeah.
There was his wife guest picking games. It's just like, and then, you know, he's dressed in a suit and you go out coaching the Vanderbilt game in a T-shirt.
And a lot of times he gets back to his box at Bryant-Denny to watch your games.
He flies across the country in his back in time to watch it. He gave Vanderbilt bulletin board material. I mean, although Clark said he was not aware of that when the game started, which I believe. It's impossible. And I said this yesterday to somebody. This was always the case. You never wanted to be the guy who replaced Saban. You want to be the guy who replaced the guy who replaced Saban. Because the guy who replaces Saban, unless he wins the national championship basically every year, fails.
Yes.
In the eyes of that fan base. And that fan base, God love you, you people think you're entitled. You think it is a birthright. That was the part that nobody ever understood when they were going through that stretch, like when I was working in that state, when they just weren't a power anymore. But they, by God, felt like they deserved to be. They were meant to be. That's what their role was supposed to be. And then Saban comes in and basically validates their feelings. See? Saban was there for 17 years. If you throw the first year out, 16 seasons where they win at least 10 games. Won, I don't know, was it 5 national championships, 6 national championships, went to the playoff. I mean, just on and on and on. He does this, has this Wooden-esque run, and they're like, yeah, this is the norm. And now this guy comes in, DeBoer, who's got a massive winning percentage, and it might not be the norm. He might establish a new norm that at most places would still be perfectly good, but not there.
They might just be all right, good team, playoff team. All right, it's fine.
You know, and so they lost to Vanderbilt, and they've still got games on the schedule. I mean, look, the whole he's 17 thing is so overplayed that I think it stops people from understanding how great the Williams kid is. The Williams kid makes that play against Georgia, or else they probably lose that game. And they're coming off of a blown 28-point lead against Georgia. Mm-hmm. So there's issues, and they'll lose again somewhere down the road this year. I mean, I think it's the beginning of a question, and we talked about it yesterday. I asked Lane about it Sunday night. We're not there yet, but we're maybe a couple of weeks away from it. What if everybody in the league has 2 or 3 losses? What if there is no 11-1 team? What if there is no 12-0 team? What if it's a bunch of 10-2, 9-3 teams at the top? I mean, what if?
It's, Kelly was asked about it yesterday, I think, and it's everybody trying to figure out, this parity and what's your thought and why is this happening, and it's a lot of things. We spent time talking about it yesterday, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but, Kelly pointed out he thought distractions played a role, and there's so much going on, you just simply don't know what the kids' moods are because they have life and they're just kids, and it's it's a job, but it's not a job, and you're there, but you got all these other influences and stuff, and they just sometimes you got a few players that decide the game on the whole, and that's where it goes. I mean, which I get it. I mean, I think it's a lot of things. I think the premier reason is what we mentioned yesterday, which was a lack of depth, which creates more variance, better players at smaller programs, worse players downline at better programs, and suddenly you've got a parity sitting in the middle. And then it's also because they're not great. They're not NFL players. One of the reasons why the lack of depth doesn't matter at the NFL level is they're all just damn good.
Yeah.
But when it gets watered down a little bit, you just get kids that make mistakes and do dumb stuff. And when dumb stuff happens, dumb results happen. So as the quality of play goes down on the whole, per team, pound for pound, that's where we end up, is the ability to have a dumb weekend like that as you get last weekend. Credit to SEC Shorts. They did pull it off, considering what the material and the expectations that were thrust upon them on Monday. Congratulations, A+. It was awesome.
It was brilliant. I mean, I'm so impressed with it. I was like that, just literally. And a couple of shout outs to the past. The Hope getting to work with Alabama. Hey, we're gonna get to work. It was great.
Vandy getting their W.
Yeah, the Arkansas goalpost people. I mean, just all of it. It was just one. It was perfect. I mean, it really was. Everybody happy for Vanderbilt. It was, yeah. It was. They nailed it. I mean, they just nailed it. I mean, starting out with the Missouri thing and then just like, all right, screw it. Who cares about
That's
Missouri?
my favorite thing. Yeah, when they had the bigger problem, Missouri just goes dead, flatline. We don't care. We're
yeah, whatever. You don't count. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, the hope getting to work with Alabama was the part that just. It was probably like if you add 30 people in a room watching it, there might be like 15 different things that people liked the most. And that for me, I howled at that one. Like, hey, we're going to get to work together.
Because she's the right amount of psychopath. She's perfect. Like, it's just, it's
yeah. And then the little, the touching thing. Vanderbilt's always gotten went to the L store to get the L, and this time she just hands him a W. And it was kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. They did a lot of cool stuff. That's a big story. But if that becomes the new normal, and it almost kind of is this year. Like Lane said this yesterday, this whole talking about last year is over. Like it just doesn't even. Jared Ivey said that. He's like, man, I mean.
Yeah, he was asked about Ole Miss not winning in Baton Rouge since 2008. He pointed out he was 7.
Well, and what he was asked was, which game do you think about the most, 2022 or 2023 LSU? And he goes, honestly, neither. I don't really think about it. We play a game every week, every year. It's like, 50 guys on this team weren't part of that last year. That won't, and then he points out, about the whole, I was 7. That's not something they're thinking about. That's something fans talk about. Media talks about it. It's completely irrelevant. All it tells you is that over the years, that's a tough place to play, and Ole Miss hasn't been good enough to win there very consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally all you can take from it. But
got a few details. Go ahead.
If Ole Miss loses on Saturday night, it won't be because, they haven't won there since 2008. That just is.
Yeah. Got a few details on the Vanderbilt, trying to capitalize a little monetarily on their win on Saturday. We'll talk about that after the break. First, NE Spark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, Spark offers both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more, register for service. That's nespark.com. NeSpark. Get connected. Stay local.
If you're a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands, if you're an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify, Andy Ludicky can help. He's part of MyPerfectFranchise.net. He owns multiple businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. MyPerfectFranchise.net. Andy at MyPerfectFranchise.net or 404-973-9901. I'll have a mailbag to you tomorrow. It's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask Art how, 612-805-5929, or email Art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. We're brought to you by Kaiser Flooring. We'll have picks on Thursday. They sponsor our picks. The locations in Oxford and Batesville. Kaiser provides outstanding quality flooring products and installation services to residential and commercial properties. They carry the best in hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and tile flooring, as well as carpeting. Their goal is to offer amazing and durable flooring products, superior services to make your life easier. Kaiser installs your flooring quickly. They deliver the best flooring experience possible. At Kaiser, they believe the key is success. Key to success is their dedication to customer service. They're always going to put customers first. It's KaiserFlooring.com. Meadowbrook Wealth Advisors of Raymond James, a full-service advertising investment team, based in Jackson. They provide financial planning and investment management to clients across the state and surrounding areas. Ryan Geary and his partners are a local team that utilize the strength and resources of a national firm to bring their clients an impeccable level of service. Get in touch with those guys at 601-368-2215 or at ryan.geary@raymondjames.com. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. And don't forget, if you live in the Oxford area, you can take part in mini passers. You can sign up your 4 or 5-year-old to take part in their new program. Instructions led by former Ole Miss kicker Andrew Ritter. 3 straight sessions will be hosted at M-Trade starting on October the 13th. You can sign up for the 3 to 4 p.m. version or the 4 to 5 p.m. session. Cost is just $50 per participant. Go to oxfordparkcommission.com for additional details.
So you can go to Live Source is the website, search Vanderbilt, and I doubt any of you do, but people are bidding on parts of this win. Different memorabilia items from the Vanderbilt win over Alabama. You can get a game day goalpost pad. It's got 2 days, 7 hours left on the auction. $5,400 for the actual V black goalpost pad at Vanderbilt. $10,835 for a personalized game helmet. Another game helmet personalized for $31,090 so far on a bid.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, $31,000. You can get a personalized game pylon. Do it.
You'd have to really want to show your gold.
I mean, at least it's one of the good-looking helmets. It's not the one with, like, the Nashville skyline on it, which always bugged me when they would wear that one.
Yeah.
It's fine. Black got the V. Although, I miss the gold helmet with the star with the V in it. I miss their just traditional old football helmet.
Yeah.
You have no comment? Okay. Good.
Not really.
Okay. Well, you look like you were gearing up for it and then just didn't. So, all right. $1,550 for one of the game pylons. They'll personalize that bad boy for you.
I'm good.
Okay. I mean, it's a better deal than the $5,400 goalpost pad.
Oh, that's true.
Game balls ranging from $5,885 to $6,085. There's several of those. And then they are completely sold out on the field goal crossbars. 4-inch pieces sold for $1,005 and 8-inch pieces sold for $4,035. That feels like a really large markup for twice the size.
I mean, there's a big difference between.
Are there a lot of men out there that would pay for 8 instead of 4 for $3,000? I mean, that's basically what it's offering right there. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, there's a lot of. I mean, I'm guessing there's a lot of people that would pay for that jump.
You can get 4 inches for $1,005, or you can get 8 for $4,000. It's up to you. That's the way it sits.
There you go.
Those are all sold out, though. They have been swiped by all the Vanderbilt fans out there.
That would go quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other stuff, I mean, I guess people have bid, so it is what it is. Ole Miss, by the way, in the Maui Invitational in 2026. That was announced yesterday, I guess. You already knew this, but they also officially announced the Washington State football game yesterday, too. So Ole Miss plays Washington State instead of Wake Forest.
I learned that if you don't tweet something, it doesn't happen.
That's true. The 8 home games for the Rebels next season.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Ole Miss in Maui with Arizona, Maryland, Notre Dame, Providence, BYU, and VCU. Still one team left to go. So that's 7 of the 8.
So that's next December or 2 Decembers from now?
That's 2 Decembers, right?
I think so.
Because it's not in January, is it?
No, it's usually in November or December.
Okay.
It's like a Christmas time. I will be working on how that field shapes up for that tournament story at around 4:30 today after I do the Jaheim Otis story.
Okay.
Talk about how Ole Miss's chances to win that tournament with the roster that is completely unpredictable at this point against other rosters that there's no way to know who's going to be on them.
I was trying to look for dates for this current event, and they make that harder than you would think. Oh, it's Thanksgiving week. So, 2 years from now, Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah, like it. I mean, what if you gave somebody, if someone said predict the Ole Miss basketball roster 2 years from now, do you think you could even get 3 names correct?
No. I mean, you would guess the freshmen and just pray to God, but no.
Yeah, you'd guess the freshmen and maybe look at a commitment list and put them down 2, and then go, maybe I'll get 2 or 3 of those.
Mm-hmm. No, otherwise, no clue. Not a chance. So, all right, that's basketball. That's football. Ole Miss and LSU coming up Saturday, 6:30. Is it ABC or ESPN? What channel?
ABC.
ABC for the Rebels and the Tigers.
Part of triple header on ABC. South Carolina at Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, in Dallas, and then Ole Miss at LSU.
Then Ole Miss gets a bye week the following week after LSU. They're first at 2.
God.
Bye weeks on the season. So, again, all leading up to Saturday. Appreciate everybody in the stream. Be back with you again tomorrow for another edition of the show. And then rebelgrove.com in the meantime. So, thanks, and we'll talk to you then.